In their book, Design Rules: The Power of Modularity, Carlos Baldwin and Kim Clark write, a complex system can be managed by dividing it up into smaller pieces and looking at each one separately. When the complexity of one of the elements crosses a certain threshold, that complexity can be isolated by defining a separate abstraction that has a simple interface. The abstraction hides the complexity of the element. The interface indicates how the element interacts with the large system. Now, to understand this, we look at Herbert Simon's parable of the two watchmakers that appeared in the famous essay, The Architecture of Complexity. There once were two watchmakers, named Tempus and Hora, who manufactured very fine watches. The watches the men made consisted of about 1,000 parts each. Tempus had so constructed his method that if he put it down to answer the phone, say, it immediately fell into pieces and had to be reassembled from the elements. The better the customers liked his watches, the more they phoned him, and the more difficult it became for him to find enough uninterrupted time to finish a watch. The watches that Hora made were no less complex than those of Tempus, but he had designed them so that he could put down together stable subassemblies of about 10 elements each. Hence, when Hora had to put down a partly assembled watch to answer the phone, he lost only a small part of his work, and he assembled his watches in only a fraction of the man hours it took Tempus. If there is one chance in 10 that either watchmaker will be interrupted while adding any one part to an assembly, then it will take Tempus on average about 4,000 times as long to make a watch as Hora. Hora at the time might not know this, but he was making his watches more modular. This not only saved him time but made his work more easier. Complex system that Carlos Baldwin and Kim Clark refer to, in this case represent fine watches, but in reality can represent fields ranging from brain science and psychology to robotics, artificial intelligence, industrial engineering, and to life. Carlos Baldwin and Kim Clark say that for humans, the only way to manage a complex system or solve a complex problem is to break it up. In the breaking apart, it is best to look at points of natural division, dividing the idea at the joints as nature directs, not breaking any limb in half as a bad carver might. This way of thinking and solving complex problems allows us to focus on one part at a time. As an example, take any mathematical operation or function. Say, you want to add the total weight of your grocery. We use addition operation. If we want to find the area under this curve, we use integral calculus. Now, as we start to ask more difficult questions, we will need more advanced math, for example, Fourier transformation. But if we strip down this equation, we get back the more elementary operations and functions. This goes to say that advanced math is just a more sophisticated combination of elementary math. This is all because of modularity of math itself. And it is not just math. Modularity is everywhere. Just look at a company. It will have a marketing team, a design team, developers team, a financial team. These teams will take inputs and outputs from each other, very similar to the math equation, where the output of one function is the input of another function. How to break a complex system down deserves a separate video of itself. But we can tell you that the idea of modularity can even be applied in our daily lives. Ask yourself a simple question about everything you do. Can I use this as a tool? And how can I combine this with other tools? When we begin to ask such questions, we realize the value of the things we do and of the things that we need to do. You can think of Let's Become a Scientist as a tool to find other tools. We search across the internet for amazing resources and bring them at one place, letsbecomeascientist.com.